you guys, welcome back to my channel, and I am back with another video. And today we are going to kick off the fall season, yes, with some goodies, which is my pumpkin spice drop biscuits, you guys. Just a little bit about this recipe. I do make the drop biscuits, but this was my first time actually making pumpkin spice drop biscuits, which is something I came up with on my own, and I absolutely love this recipe. Usually when I make drop biscuits, I put some cheese in it with some chives and some garlic butter. It's just so delicious. So I think I'll probably end up coming out with a video like that. It's the same type of ingredients. The only thing is just changing out the pumpkin, and all the sweet stuff for all the savory things. So first thing is, as you see in this video, I'm just incorporating all of my dry ingredients, and I started off with 2.5 cups of flour, 3 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and 2 teaspoons of sugar with 3/4 teaspoon of salt. And then I'm just going to whisk all my dry ingredients together to get them well incorporated. And then after I do that, we're going to then move on to the wet ingredients, you guys. And I'm using my buttermilk, some good buttermilk. I love buttermilk. And I'm using a cup of that. And then after I pour that in my measuring cup, then we're going to take one stick of butter, and pop that in the microwave to get it melted all the way. Now I am using salted butter, but you can use unsalted butter if you like. It really does not matter for this recipe. So I'm going to put it in the microwave. I'm going to let it melt all the butter through just for like 15 minutes. Butter does not take very long to melt at all. And as you see, voila, you have melted butter. You can do this over the stove if you like, or whatever you prefer. So after it has melted, I'm going to let it cool for just a tad bit. And while it's still in its liquefied state, I'm going to pour it into my buttermilk and make a butter and buttermilk mixture. So you're going to see that when I add this to my buttermilk, it's going to start to cobble my buttermilk. Don't be alarmed. Don't think that this is not what's supposed to happen. It is supposed to happen this way. So once you start seeing the butter solidify, that means that you're on the right track. So I'm just showing you a close-up of what it's supposed to look like once you start mixing the buttermilk with the butter. And as you see, it's starting to get all clumpy. That's perfect. Perfect. That means you're on the right track. So after I did that, then it's time to add the wet ingredients to my dry mix. Yes. And get this party started. Does anybody still say that? I doubt if anybody say that. I'm whack, I know. But anyways, I'm going to mix this all together. And then after we mix our wet ingredients with our dry ingredients, the next part is the good part, which is adding the pumpkin filling. Now, if you taste pumpkin filling, it doesn't pretty much taste like anything. So my suggestion is, if you have pumpkin spice, add that to it. It definitely will bring out that pumpkin flavoring. And I think they also have pumpkin abstract too. If I'm sure, I think they do. But right here, I started off with a 2/3 or a half cup of pumpkin filling, and then I added some cinnamon and some nutmeg to my mixture to bring out that spiciness in my biscuits. And then after I mixed it, let it get all incorporated, then I went back in and added 2/3 cup of the pumpkin filling. Like I said, if you want that pumpkin filling, or if you want that pumpkin flavor to really come out in the biscuits, then my biggest suggestion is to get some pumpkin spice at your grocery store in the spice aisle and add that in there as well. And then once I got all of the ingredients combined, then I'm going to actually add some brown sugar to it. It's going to give it its sweetness that it needs. If you don't add this, then you're going to have good biscuits, but they're not going to be as sweet as you probably think that they will be when you bake your biscuits. So I just added about I'll say 3 teaspoons of or no 3 tablespoons, I'm sorry, of brown sugar. And then after I did that, voila, your mix is done. So I'm just taking my measuring cup that I used left when I poured I used for my pumpkin filling, and I sprayed it with some Pam spray so it can easily have the dough fall out of that. And I just started off first with like 5, and I put them in the oven. You're going to make sure that your oven is set to 350 to 400, depending on how your oven, depending on if you have electric or stove, or electric or a gas oven. I have electric oven, so I set my oven to 400 degrees, and then I pop them in the oven and let them bake for 12 to 14 minutes. Make sure you check your biscuits. The way you can tell if they're done is just by simply the old school method, sticking a fork into them. If the fork comes out clean, then your biscuits are ready to go. So while they were baking, I decided to make some pumpkin butter whip, if you want to call it that. So that way I can, slather that baby on my biscuits, and my biscuits can be all nice and just warm and gooey with all of that sweet stuff. So I just added some butter. I put some honey in it, as well as a tablespoon of the pumpkin filling and some cinnamon and nutmeg. And then voila, my biscuits are done. Altogether, this recipe, when I used the 2/3 cup measuring cup that I used to scoop the biscuits out, I made about 8 individual biscuits, and you see they are pretty big. If you want them smaller than that, by all means use a smaller measuring cup, or whatever you have on hand. And then after they were done, I just simply plop some of that good butter on there, and you see, voila, you have some easy pumpkin spice biscuits, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I want to say thank you all to who recently subscribed, and leave comments on my video. I do really appreciate it. Don't forget to follow your girl at Instagram at sabercooking underscore, and I'll have that link below. I'll talk to you all in the next video. Bye, you guys. Love and good eats.